Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the 2020 podcast, Canada's #1 optometry podcast. I am your host, Dr. Harbir Sayan. Thank you, as always, guys, for taking the time you do to listen, to tune in, to support the podcast. It means so much to me. Honestly, I'm really, really grateful. I know I repeat the exact same thing off the top of every episode, and that's because I really want to make sure that you all know that it's really means so much to me that you listen, that you watch, that you text me or message me on Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, or you share the podcast on whatever channels you do. Always makes me feel so good, and it encourages me to kind of keep going and finding new guests and new topics to discuss on the podcast. And that feedback actually is extra important for these types of episodes. This one is another Eye2Eye episode. So if you are familiar with the podcast, you know, every now and then I'll do these Eye2Eye episodes, which is just me by myself sharing some thoughts, sharing some insights, sharing a lesson that I learned, or quotes. You know how much I love quotes if you listen to the podcast. When I do these episodes, it's just me. When I have a guest on, it's a lot easier for me to kind of defer to the guest. It's that the guest is doing most of the talking, sharing most of the information. So it's easy to kind of defer any judgment or criticism to the guest. For example, if I'm worried that somebody on the other end who's listening to this is not really resonating with the message, well, it's okay. It was the guest's message. It was the guest who was sharing that information. But when it's just me in an eye-to-eye, it takes a little bit more confidence on my part to sit here and share the information, because I know that you're only listening to me. So if you have criticism about this, it's going to be of me. But having done 170 some episodes of the podcast, I can say I have a little more confidence than I did, when I started. But still, sharing these ideas, I don't want you to feel like I'm sitting on a high horse and sharing something from some sort of a perch that is above everybody else. This is me sharing, actually, if anything, my journey and my growth and the stumbling blocks that I come across, and I'm hoping that in some way it helps you along in your journey as well. So, with all humility, I like to share some of these thoughts that I come across and I learn. And today's topic for Eye2Eye is regret, which can be obviously a fairly heavy topic, but I want to kind of look at regret and what we may regret, and how we might be able to flip this around and look at some of it as opportunity. I want to ask you, do you have regrets? Yes, I would imagine everybody has some amount of regret. It's easy to say I have no regrets, but there's going to be, if you look back, something that you did that maybe you weren't so happy about, or you wish you could have done better. We all have some of those moments in our lives where we said something a little silly, we acted a little silly, we got angry when we shouldn't have. We maybe, enjoyed a certain moment a little too much. When we look back and we say, oh, kind of wish I hadn't done that, right? I'm sure we all have regrets like that. But I think the bigger regrets that we carry with us are when we didn't do something that we maybe should have or could have or wanted to. When we didn't take that job opportunity that because it seemed a little scary, or we didn't talk to that person, whether it was when we were younger and we wanted to ask somebody out and we didn't have the courage to go talk to them, or in a different stage of our life when we should have talked to somebody and said something to help them feel better or to patch up a certain relationship, but we didn't. We regret those moments. We just regret the opportunities that are missed. I think those are the things that sit with us longer than the things that we did and we were like, oh, shouldn't have done that. And this idea actually was really crystallized for me when I heard this quote, or read, I should say, this quote in at the very end of Trevor Noah's book that's called Born a Crime. The book ends with this quote I want to read to you now. I don't regret anything I've ever done in my life, any choice that I've made, but I'm consumed with regret for the things that I didn't do, the choices I didn't make, the things I didn't say. We spend so much time being afraid of failure, afraid of rejection, but regret is the thing that we should fear the most. Failure is an answer. Rejection is an answer. Regret is an internal question you will never have the answer to. What if? If only. I wonder what would have. You will never, never know, and it will haunt you for the rest of your days. I get goosebumps reading that because there are moments like that in my life, for sure. where I wish I had done the thing or said the thing or whatever it might have been. And you just can't get closure on that. I mean, we can meditate on it and things like that, but we'll never have the answer, like Trevor Noah is saying here, to that specific moment or that specific scenario because we just didn't do the thing. In a nutshell, there's another quote that I think is quite famous in business and other things from Wayne Gretzky, which is, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." If you watch The Office, that's also attributed to Michael Scott, but we know it's a Wayne Gretzky quote. But I think that's that Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah, of course, says it with so much passion and is very eloquent in the way he describes that feeling that you would get if you don't get that closure when you don't do the thing. But in Wayne Gretzky's quote, it's just that in such a short, quick nutshell, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And there are going to be times when we look back and we regret the fact that we didn't take that shot. So I really wanted to bring that point to you. I wanted to hopefully help you kind of think about regret differently. We do regret the silly things that we've done or the things we didn't do them well, perhaps. But in the future, before we pass up an opportunity or before we say I'm not brave enough or I'm not strong enough or I'm not smart enough to do that thing, just keep in mind that likely that's going to lead to us regretting this for a long time in the future. And instead of leaving it on that negative note, I want to look at it, flip it over, and think that if we have the boldness and the courage to do the things that we want to do and take those shots, we will have less regrets in the future. We'll have more moments to enjoy in the future. We'll have, at the very least, we'll have learned. When I talked to Catherine Cousins, who was the CEO of Key, when she was talking about she's been an athlete throughout her life and she's now running a big global company, and she was talking about this too. You have so many mistakes as a hockey player. You make so many mistakes, but you learn from it. And in business it's the same thing. You either win or you learn. At least you learn because you took the chance, you took the opportunity. There was a learning opportunity there. If you don't do it, you miss the opportunity to learn, either succeed at it or to learn from it. And so that was a really great message that she shared in that episode. So I want to share with you this quote that is probably my all-time favorite quote that I come back to every now and then. I'll read this passage. It's a fairly long passage that I'm going to read to you here because it helps to remind me that I should be courageous or to be bold and to just do the thing, to start. And that way, at least I will learn. I will not have the regret of having missed the opportunity entirely. Again, I'm not perfect in this and I will still miss the opportunity sometimes. But if I read this quote at the right time, it'll motivate me. This quote is often attributed to Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who is a old German philosopher back in the 1700s, but I believe the actual quote is from William Hutchinson Murray. So here's the quote. "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, that the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance, which no man could have dreamed would have come his way. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now." Again, goosebumps. I love that quote. One of my favorites. So if we put those two together, we take the quote from Trevor Noah that the thing we regret the most is the thing that we didn't do. That's the thing that will haunt you, because if you do it and you fail, you got an answer. If you do it and you succeed, of course you have an answer. Or as Catherine Cousins says, you do it and you fail, you learn. So if you take that idea of not doing the thing will lead to a regret, and then you take this quote here, which says that doing the thing, beginning, boldness has genius and power and magic in it. Whatever you can dream to do, do it now. At least you will learn. At the very least, you won't have regret in the future. I hope that will inspire you to take some action, whatever it is that you were thinking about doing, whether it's a business or it's a relationship thing or it's a new sport or a new hobby or whatever it is. I hope that inspires you to get into it and get started right away. Thank you again for coming along with me on this journey into these Eye2Eye episodes as I kind of work through these thoughts and these feelings and these insights in my own life. And I hope that you're able to apply them in your lives and your businesses as well. Thank you as always for supporting the 2020 podcast, Canada's #1 optometry podcast. I'll see you guys in the next episode.